Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I am with Liz Trotter. Our guest today is Matt Ricketts. This is Smart Business Mode.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
Is this the first show we've done in June? I guess it would be. It's the second, right?
Yes.
How about that? It's in June. It's not
I can't
officially
believe it's
summer
right
yet,
now.
is it?
What?
It's not officially summer yet, is it?
I don't think so. Right?
No.
Longest day or something.
Yeah, that's sometime towards the end of the month, I think.
It's hot here, though.
It's hot here too.
Well, yeah, it's not hot here. I forgot who I was talking to. Yeah,
Well,
it's 86.
I'm upstairs. I'm at home and I'm upstairs in the office, and I'm having the air conditioner up here replaced today. So at the moment, it's hot.
Yeah. Sorry, Tom. It gets hot there. It really gets hot there. Yeah.
So we'll have that working here. Maybe before the show's over, we'll have the air conditioner working. I'll keep you guys posted.
All right. How about you, Matt?
I had to leave my house today. This is an ongoing saga. It's kind of a joke between me and Tom, but there's this telephone pole in the middle of my driveway. I bought this new house, and today they're working on the telephone pole. So there's 3 different utilities that have to make this telephone pole go away. I paid a lot of money, like months and months ago, to make this happen. So today the cable company came to move their stuff off the old pole. The new pole's there. We've buried our power off the pole. But my internet's out because the cable company's out doing their thing. But it's like an ongoing joke. Somebody's out there every day looking at this thing, and like nobody wants to be the one to pull it out of the ground because it's like in concrete in the middle of my driveway. But I'm like, I paid for it. Like, I'm just gonna have to keep calling and calling. It's like, it's getting a little like, it's like my job to like deal with the engineering of moving this telephone pole. But yeah, it's an ongoing thing. Like every week they're like doing something to this telephone pole. I'm like, just take a chainsaw to this thing and just knock it down. Man. Let's get it gone.
But you don't want like a telephone pole stump in your driveway.
No, I don't want that either. I do want them to jackhammer it out and pluck it out of the ground. Absolutely. So I'll have a hole in my driveway for a little bit. I'll fill it with gravel till I can get somebody.
Do they have to repair that?
No, that's me. That's on me. So they just got to get it out of the ground. I don't care. But at that point, I don't care.
Okay.
They can
know why do you have to have it all the way down? I mean, just get it down, 6 inches and lay new concrete.
Well, yeah, I guess you'd have a big hump over your driveway, but it's a funny story. I just brought it up because Tom was talking about construction. My ongoing telephone pole saga. I had visitors, cleaning business owners, and it's a joke. It's a private group I'm in with some other cleaning business owners, and it's like an ongoing joke. I'll share pictures in that group of like the progress of the poles. Like, hey, today they're moving a wire from one pole to the other. I don't know whose wire that is, but every day Friday is the day. Friday's the day they're supposed to actually pluck it out of the ground. So I'll post a picture of that. That'll be monumental. But it's
to do like a daily Facebook post, day 157, and take a picture and explain.
6 months. 6 months since I paid the utility company to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything happening in the news that we want to talk about?
There's a little bit. There's a little bit going on. I don't know if we really want to get into this too much today. They're talking about reworking the WOTC credits this is very early. Have you heard about this, Tom?
Work opportunity tax credits?
Yeah. So you remember how they talked about doing the HEROES Act early on? So anybody that's been unemployed, they're talking about giving you, the business, some tax credits to bring on unemployed people. And really, if that becomes reality, that'll give us some real incentives to like do some really big hiring bonuses and things like that. So I would do a little research on WOTC and I might be able to dig through my email and find a link before the show's over. I can probably look for that now. But that's new, and that was proposed recently. I don't know if there's a lot of demand for that or not, but I would love for that to happen.
Yeah.
tax credits are cool, especially. I mean, I don't know what changes might be happening with the alternative minimum tax. I mean, that's, sometimes you get a bunch of tax credits and you still can't use them because there's only certain ways they can be applied. But nevertheless, they carry forward for like 15 years. So if you get a bunch of them, you use them eventually, and it's free money.
Yeah. So I have I'll put in the comments the wording of the law. I don't have a website. I'll put it in the private chat. And I have Tom Suozzi, Democrat of New York, introduced the Hiring Incentive to Return Employment Act of 2021. This was introduced last week. And if this were to go through, and I think there's some bipartisan support for this, because it makes sense. We're talking about labor is the biggest bottleneck right now. And if you can incentivize people to go back to work.
But that helps. That incentivizes employers to hire, but aren't employers like trying to hire now and they can't find anybody? Do you need a tax?
But we could pay more.
Yeah, we could pay more. We could offer hiring bonuses that are more sustainable.
Paying more based on work opportunity tax credits is kind of a dicey thing, because sometimes you can't use as many of them as you think you can because of some of the other tax. We don't want to get too deep in the weeds on the alternative minimum tax, but it's kind of a backdoor way of making you pay taxes regardless of how many tax credits you have.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, that's a whole nother show. While we're getting ready, guys, just so you know, we're going to be talking about marketing and start getting your questions together. Hit us up if you're out there. Drop your name in the post. Let us know you're there. It makes it a little more fun for all of us. And if you have any particular marketing questions, let us know.
But Tom, I think some people are going to be wondering why we're talking about marketing when we're also talking about can't find employees.
You can't. You got more. We all have more work than we can handle now, right? We don't have enough employees, so why do we want to market? That's a good question. Matt, why it was your idea. Why are we talking about marketing today?
I firmly think it's an opportunity. I'm looking at what I'm spending on Facebook. My cost per click is going down. I'm putting them into my channel so let's say someone interacts with one of your ads now. That's 180 days that you can market to them on Facebook. And then if they re-engage with you again on Facebook, click on one of your ads, that puts you into a longer period where you can keep advertising them. I'm looking at now, marketing is cheap because a lot of people are pulling back on their Facebook advertising, things like that. So you can actually get more bang for your buck right now. And I think this is going to work out. I mean, I'm like an optimist that even though my board is pretty light on the people, I don't know if you can it's where are they all? There's a whole another board.
10 people working for you.
There's a whole other board with 16. There's 26 people, 26 texts. It's bad.
There are more people in the Brady Bunch and what you've got on them.
I'm trying to find the way to tilt it towards the board.
I see. There's more on the other side.
Yeah. It's like teams versus solos, right? So that's the team side. That's the solo side. But you know what? That solo side's going to be full in 6 months. I'm going to have 50 technicians again. I'm going to be doing $3 million a year, whatever the number is. I'm optimistic. I'm looking at all the people that are turning their marketing off. And Google doesn't reward that with AdWords. You're going to spend more and more when you turn it back on. They don't reward that. They reward consistent spending and behavior. If you can't use it, definitely turn it down. But for me, I look at things like Facebook, really cheap, 50 cents a click. For even still with everything going on, I would be investing a lot into your marketing channels right now. I'm trying to pull up my last sprint to give you guys some ideas on some ads and things like that. So I can find their invoices. I'm just looking for the final ad.
Show us your Facebook bills.
Yeah, I'll show you my bills. That's not. Here, I'm going to share the screen. I have a tab that I can share here. I'll put it in the.
I'm not sure what Steve is asking. He says, "Isn't that because they can't find cleaners?"
Because we have more work than we can handle, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, as far as why people are pulling back on advertising, yeah, I think a lot of people are.
Or was he talking about the WOTC?
Yeah, the work opportunity tax credit doesn't, it doesn't seem to me that employers need more incentive to go out there and hire people.
I definitely don't need any more incentive, but if you want to give me some, I will absolutely take it. I'm just saying.
So, yeah, I mean, just for some examples of what I'm doing is, just informative videos talking about, I still think some COVID, in my market, COVID marketing is still a little bit important. Like, we're still wearing masks till the end of June at the very least. What about you guys? You guys still going to continue to wear masks, or are you done?
We still are at the moment. We've been having some discussions, but haven't reached any conclusions as to what to do with that. Is it required in your company now?
So it is until June, and then after June and July, if you're vaccinated and want to show proof of it, you can work without a mask is what we're going to be allowing them to do to go into customers' homes. So we can, we're not going to share that with customers or that, but if they share with the company that they've been vaccinated, then they are going to be able and free to work without masks into July, unless customers specifically ask for it. And then we're going to create a tag in Made Central with a little mask on it for that customer. Just, create a tag and create a work order note to remind us that we need to wear masks, special equipment, put in the special equipment notes, things like that.
We don't require masks if the customer isn't home, but if they're home, you still have to wear masks. And we're probably going to keep masks in play for a while, unless the customer says that they don't want us to. Our team members that are vaccinated, it's on their name tag. So those people, I think, will be invited to not wear masks more often.
So they actually have something on their name tag saying they've been vaccinated?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A little icon and it says I'm vaccinated.
Like a hypodermic needle? I'm
a little scared to find out, to be perfectly honest. So but I'm gonna have to find out here in the next month if they want to go mask free in July. So yeah, I've been a little bit nervous to get involved in that at all.
So, Steve was asking about, when he was talking about, because we can't find cleaners, about pulling back on the marketing. And on the surface, that you could argue that's the logical thing to do, but there are some long-term benefits to continue your marketing efforts. And I guess, Matt, that's what you're gonna share some of those points with us here.
Yeah, I think you need to still have a marketing calendar and stick to it. I mean, me and you had a conversation about marketing today, and got me thinking, like, I do things really organized for my cleaning company as far as like a marketing calendar, sitting down quarterly and organizing those things. And those are activities that I think you should do. I think basically once a quarter for the upcoming quarter, you should organize all your efforts, what you're gonna leverage, as far as tools and tactics, and then what are your goals for that period of time? Like, what's your, what is your outcome? So, I mean, for me, we're still growing right now, even though we're limited by labor. Like, if I were to pull up some reports, I still grew 8 recurring customers net last week. We canceled a customer that equaled 22 weekly cleanings last month, and still were up for May. I mean, that was a strategy, and so I had to market like crazy a little bit to kind of fill that big gap of that commercial client that we didn't want to service anymore. So leveraging spring cleaning, even though we're not doing a lot of one-times, if you want to, again, that's a good topical thing. I want to share with you guys a couple things that really do work well with if you choose to do Facebook advertising. Pictures of your staff, real pictures, do really well. Do you see the little check marks? These are just different emojis. Emojis do really well as far as that goes. If you look at any of our ads, We do a lot of emojis in them, like little check marks, things like that. Video does really well, but if you don't have to create video. Just something simple, like, something simple along the lines of, why they should let you do this work for them, right? And give them a reason to do it. Get a free quote. And this specific ads, if you're not going to do anything else, you need to retarget your web visitors. So I took my own medicine and turned this on at Made Central, and it basically doubled our traffic just to turn back on our remarketing of people that had already visited our site. So I took my own medicine for using Facebook ads, and really has been really influential in driving more sales for Made Central. So same thing in your house cleaning business, but if somebody's already visited your site, found you, you really should be remarketing to them and retargeting them on Facebook.
So Matt, you mentioned marketing goals, and traditionally we think about marketing goals in terms of how many leads and customers and revenue and stuff like that. But during this time when labor is short and a number of us are supply constrained, there are other goals that you've talked about as well in terms of page rank and your Google My Business ranking. So is that part of the thinking as well, that even though maybe you don't need a lot of new customers, you're just doing this to kind of keep your place in line for when things get busier, or you get more people, rather?
Yeah. So,
hey, Tom, can you put Matt in the middle so that when you pop up comments, he's not covered?
So exactly, Tom. So let me just pull up. Right now, we're really pushing hard for Google reviews as well. So marketing, your review, and so just for example, you see on the right hand side of this page, our review site. Do you see that?
Yeah. So
we've made some recent edits to our page, things like that, to make it a little bit more Google friendly. And so Google's still reviewing those changes. We're always adding, we're always updating the page with our hours, making sure that those are relevant. Honestly, my Google My Business page gets more traffic than my website, right? So this page should really be a very informative place for your customers, and you should be getting reviews. So I've gotten 9 reviews in the last week. So, I know we talked about that like a month ago with Dan, and Gosha was on, and they talked about that. Last week I was kind of joking with Dan. I said I had 250 reviews. It wasn't quite true. I didn't have 250 yet, but we're up to 256 now because we've got 9 reviews in the last week. So, that's a big push, and that's an opportunity. If your competitors are running scared and not spending money and doing some other things, maybe you don't want to spend money directly on Facebook ads, which I recommend remarketing. You could spend $5, $10 a day and get actually some really amazing results. $300 a month, you could drive, an extra 1,000 visitors to your site. That could be substantial to you, long term, because you still can remarket, keep hitting those people over again. But yeah, I think your Google My Business page is a quick and easy place to get some good results.
How do you do the remarketing, Matt? Is that somebody you have to hire to do that for you, or do you do it yourself? How do you do that?
I do it myself. I'm like, I hate this kind of question because I'm like, what's everyone's level of confidence with tech? So it's really not that hard. In Facebook, there's a little, it's called a pixel. You have to put that on your website, and that's going to make it, it's going to be harder and harder to track people directly because of some updates in iOS and things like that. But I'm confident Facebook's going to find a way to keep making it so that their ads are relevant and are delivered to people. So you put that on your website, and then you create an ad based on what you want it to look like and feel like, and then you create an audience. And the audience that you would pick would be the people that have visited your website based on that little piece of code that you put on your site. Most of us have websites, and most of us have a web developer. You could just have your web developer copy and paste that code, but you can make your own. You can make your own ads in Facebook. They have something called a creative hub where you can play around first and mock up your ads and make them look and feel a certain way before you play around with audiences and stuff like that. I feel like the creative hub is a great place to start, to get started with Facebook, to do the layouts and, pick some pictures and the copy you want. That's a place I like to start first.
All right. Well, there's your answer to your question there, Robin.
I think Robin could do it. There's a lot of YouTube videos and things like that. If you feel like it's not worth your time, then it may be something. I'll drop Tom, if you put this in the link in the links. Something copy. I'll think of it in a second.
We should maybe do some workshops on, do-it-yourself Facebook marketing, because, once you learn the basics, it's like anything else. It's certainly doable.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of ads going on. It looks like there's a lot going on here, but first off, I have a couple of strategies that I really think, this is maybe beyond the scope of today's call, and maybe we do a workshop on this and talk about it. But the first thing I do is I take my current existing customer base or my list of customers that we've served and have spent a certain amount of money with us, and I upload those up into Facebook, and I create a lookalike audience of people that Facebook says are very similar to them based on demographic data in Facebook. That's a really good way, a really quick hack to create good marketing lists, and then you make it geographically relevant to where you are, like within 10 miles of your office. There's no other product as powerful as Facebook and as cheap as Facebook to reach your audience. I guess for the purview of today's call, though, what I'm really suggesting is invest now, because you guys are going to solve this labor problem. We're working hard. We're all working hard on it. And then you don't want to be behind the power curve. It's always like this, guys. It's always like we're always feast or famine on one thing or the other, right? Like we have too many customers right now and not enough employees. But it tends to balance out and go back the other direction.
Yeah, you're gonna pay a price at some point in the future when the labor market loosens up and you've got technicians and you're out there looking for more jobs and your SEO is dropped and you're not showing up in the 3-pack in Google My Business, and at that point you're going to wish you'd have done the things now to maintain those positions.
And most of us have more money than we've had before. It's a good time. I have nothing to sell you here as far as marketing goes. That's not what I, have anything to sell you on. I really believe that you make this investment now, and you most likely have more money than you've had before. You've got, extra funds from PPP, and you can invest that in some long-term things that'll benefit your company. And a good marketing foundation would be one of them. SEO, learning Facebook ads, whether you hire that out or, take a course on, is it Udemy? Is that how you say it? That's a good place to learn. Is that right, Tom?
I'm not sure. Is it, Liz?
Udemy.
Mm-hmm. Udemy is a good place. Like if I want to learn something, I'll go to a course like that, like a place like that, or Lynda, Lynda. Like that's how I learned a lot of the video skills that I have and the photography skills that I have was lynda.com, lynda.com. And if I want to learn something, I'll just go to those places and I'll look at that as an investment in myself as far as learning something new. And treat it like a hobby. I treat my business as a hobby and the marketing as a hobby so that it's enjoyable to me. It's not a chore. It's something I like. And I really dive into the learning and the fun of it. Maybe that's not for everybody. Maybe am I wrong to think that's not everyone likes stuff like that, I guess, but
yeah, you're wrong to think that everyone likes stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you, Matt. This is something that we say in the MMA groups always. We are hammering on this every single month, and nothing has changed. That you have to keep your marketing going, even if it's only for the push that it gives you. to do the other thing. So if you're marketing for clients, you will work harder to hire because you will feel more pressure. You will feel forced. You will put in more effort. And on the flip side, if you have a ton of employees, you will feel forced to get your marketing under control. So you want to keep them going because they create that flywheel effect. One pushes the other, and once you get going, everything works better. As soon as you drop the ball on one, you stop the whole flywheel effect, and you have to start the whole thing over again. And that's hard. That's a heavy push. So I like what Robin is saying, that he didn't stop marketing, but he lowered his spend, but he's still marketing. So keep at it. And if it's not forcing you to hire, do new things for hiring, push harder to hire, then maybe you need to pay just a little bit more.
So everyone always, marketers always tell you to spend 10 to 12% on your revenue on marketing. I find that 6 to 8% is a healthy number that most of us don't even spend. If you were spending 6% of your gross on marketing, you would probably start to see some really good results if you did some really focused activities. Like this is a perfect example of one everyone should be doing and making an investment in, so that, again, we talked about the reviews, but Google Guaranteed would be a slam dunk for getting set up and using right now.
Do you find that to be as big a value as it was, say, a year or two ago?
I'll have to look at the numbers. I just don't want to give up market share to anybody else. So,
sure.
Space.
Question here about TikTok. I don't know if anybody's given that a whole lot of consideration. Have you, Matt?
I'll give a shout out to somebody that's using TikTok pretty effectively. Is one of our Made Central users, Trisha Lake.
Okay.
Is doing some pretty cool stuff with TikTok. So maybe hit up Trisha in a Facebook group if you're in a Facebook group with her, and ask her for example videos. But I think she's doing some pretty cool stuff with TikTok. I'm not hip enough, I guess. I haven't figured TikTok out. I tried it. I didn't see how to monetize it yet.
Who's this Facebook user? Who are you? Type your name in there. Matt, I'm so surprised that you haven't figured out a way to use TikTok because you're so good at video.
I love TikTok videos, though. They're so funny.
I do too. I love them.
I have made some videos for TikTok for my business. I just haven't really. I don't know. I think my brain is pretty full with Made Central stuff, and maybe I'm missing a boat on it. Tom, it's your fault.
Hey, Derek.
Derek.
Good to see you.
But yeah, so if you're doing this right, you're going to show up in a couple places on the page. But I don't think you should give up this page rank here, even if you don't feel like the results are as great as you'd like. Sometimes, Tom, to be seen first is valuable. And then, you're going to want to make sure your Google My Business reviews is strong. You're getting, and there's a few factors that really play into this, but really the frequency of reviews that you're getting and the quality of reviews that you have are the top two. The third is really just how close they are to you when they search. Those are the top three. There's a few other things, but you can control this a little bit. The fourth is how often you update your page and make it relevant, and make sure that your hours are relevant, that you're updating it for holidays, you're putting new posts on, things like that.
Hey, Matt, Cleaning Concepts, they got a lot of reviews. They must be pretty good.
They're pretty good. They're actually a fierce
been around 25 years too.
Yeah, they're good. You know what? They're a good competitor. I really respect the family that owns that business. They're a fierce competitor. And honestly, they had less reviews than me a couple of years ago. That's why I got 9 this last week. I'm super happy because these people are getting 4 a week on average, and I wasn't. So we were about the same maybe a year ago, and then they just decided that they were going to take that real seriously. I think they're using Bird Eye for anybody that's interested in a product reviews. They're using the Bird Eye software to generate reviews, but they're a strong company. But yeah, so there, and then, you're going to obviously, SEO is going to matter too. We're getting pushed down a little bit. So I just made a reinvestment in SEO because I'm getting pushed off the first page for organic search. I just wanted to show that. I want to show that is that we are, we were like 11th and got pushed off the page. So I needed to make an investment back in SEO at this point so that we show up 3 or 4 times on the page.
Yeah, Robin's got a question.
So Robin's thinking the value of Google Guarantee is being at the top of the page. He invests a minimum amount there and focus on deep clean and standard cleans. What do you think, Matt?
I don't even advertise for the deep cleans. I only look for recurring or whatever they call that. So, I mean, I guess we might. It's hard to know what they're really looking for based on the search terms. So he's right. Those are the things that I would keep focusing on. So yeah, I mean we're getting beaten up a little bit by Scrubby Dutch and some other locals. I'm glad I invested in SEO again. I hadn't been doing it for years, and we just reinvested in that.
So Chasing Candy Robles, I guess, is just opening a cleaning company and would love to get to know more advice. That's well, we're here every Monday and Wednesday at 5 o'clock Eastern. Welcome to the community.
There's so much to this that we're not, like, I would say we're not the experts at this. There's so much good information out there that you could get and just search. I mean, we could probably do some stuff that's very specific to the industry. But I'm happy to dive into this stuff a little deeper in a webinar or something else. I'm smart enough to know that there's people that know this stuff, that's what their job is full time, that could probably get you, there faster than I could. Yeah.
But so, that's kind of an interesting way of thinking about it. As cleaning business owners, do we want to be spending our time doing SEO and developing Facebook ads, or are there other things that we should be doing? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to say that if you're somebody like Matt and that's fun for you and you can turn it into a hobby, absolutely. I think that makes good sense. But for people like me, yeah, I should be hiring someone to do it, because the learning curve for someone like me is way too steep. I'm going to be wasting way too much of my time.
I think Facebook ads, it's supposed to be self-serve, but it is a little tricky. I'm going to go with, it can be done. It probably should be done by yourselves for the Facebook ads. I don't anymore either, though, because it's just a time. It became a time thing. It's like, when I'm leading my company, do I get the most leverage by being buried on a computer and doing these little tic-tacky detail things, or do I get the most leverage, being in front of my employees and having the tough conversations and leading people? And the truth is, it's being in front of the humans that has the most leverage. So I agree with you. Even for me, I've leveraged that to outsource it.
So, there's value in knowing how to do some of these things, at least, at a general level, because it needs to be done and it needs to be done well. So you need to know enough to know if it's being done correctly. Because if you're going to delegate it to somebody or outsource it to somebody, having some knowledge of what it's supposed to look like and how it works will certainly be helpful in making good, smart business moves and choosing who to help you with that. But yeah, at some point, you're the CEO, and it's about strategy and building a team, and kind of driving sales and getting too deep and I mean it can be tricky too. I mean, it's fun. I enjoy doing some of that, and sometimes like an indulgence. Yeah, and it is. It's a hobby. Okay, if I want to spend a Saturday, playing on a computer doing something like that, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you might be the one you might do it so well, like Trisha Lake does.
Yeah.
I understand why she would put time, energy, and treasure into doing her ads. No one can create the content that she does.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah.
a good point.
But you can do so much with a smartphone. Everything she's doing with a smartphone, and then she's editing. I mean, I think she's editing on a smartphone. I mean, it's just very like creative. Like she's like thinking through like what would be funny, and then editing it. I mean, so there's some talent to that. But the tools are very accessible. I mean, they've made it so like the average person can play with a smartphone and do a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I would say though, going back
to that you showed the smartphone, Matt, in case people didn't know what they look like.
I mean, mine's huge, by the way. It's like
you got the newest one, right?
I got some giant iPhone Plus because my daughter broke hers, so I kicked her down my old phone, and they talked me into the big one because my eyes are getting bad as I'm getting older. Like I need the big phone now.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They're like, well, once you get over certain, no, I'm kidding. They didn't try that, but I usually
you're looking for sympathy here, Matt. You're not going to find it.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. We're still thinking you look pretty young.
No, but the tools and the things that you're going to spend your time on. Yeah, I'm torn because I like knowing how to do stuff like that, and I see the value in knowing how to do it, but then there's so many things we have to do well. Is that really the thing? Facebook advertising can be done well on a shoestring. And, if your budget's tight, I just know we're all coming from different spectrums. I know that they could do it if they wanted to, and they don't need an agency. They don't need anybody else. They just need a smartphone and an idea, and they can create some good ads. And, on the flip side of that is your time becomes valuable at a certain point, and you should outsource that stuff to a company that is, meeting your goals. And you need to have some good ideas of what you're trying to achieve. So you need to really know what a customer is worth to you to know whether you can advertise. So kind of goes back to some of those KPI conversations where you guys were talking about lifetime value of a customer and things like that. I mean, Liz, like are you still at 2% or under for your churn? No. Okay. Me neither. I looked at mine last year and it was like 4%. I was like, that wasn't a good year, but it could have been.
COVID killed us. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to look, but again, if you keep your churn to like 2%, like Liz has done historically, a customer's worth $15,000. Is it so bad to spend $300 on ads to get a customer if you're going to make $15,000 on them?
Absolutely.
But if you don't know that stuff, then it's hard to make those decisions because you're flying blind. I think good data and good information about your business and being a good operator helps you be more confident to spend these marketing dollars now in these kind of tough times, like where you're,
time horizon matters in some of this thinking as well. Kind of like you want to keep your marketing going now because, by the end of the year, you would think that your labor situation is going to be better and you don't want to be behind the curve on your pipeline of new clients.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we've got cash now because of, federal assistance, SBA, PPP, stuff like that. So, we're not like, for most businesses, we're not worried about making payroll on Friday. So we've got the luxury of looking at a longer planning horizon. So it's really important to understand your lifetime value of a customer and not only what's happening today, but what you plan on happening 6 months from now, a year from now.
Right.
And so a lot of times also, especially I'm speaking to newer users, when you're new in the business, you don't tend to think about what's going to happen in the future because you don't have confidence. Like, well, how do I know? I don't know. I haven't been in business long enough. Doesn't matter. The trick there is get in the habit of thinking about the future because nobody knows. Even the people that have been, even Tom, who's been doing this forever, and he has data and he has all this stuff. He didn't see COVID happening. He didn't see it coming. He didn't have a clue. And so you're not going to know everything that's going to happen, but get yourself in the habit of thinking in this way so that you are more practiced, more experienced, and you're less caught off guard, and change things as they pop up.
To be honest, though, I think COVID is a once in a lifetime opportunity now. Like, I was really scared at first, but man, it is reshaping the economy in ways that are going to be really powerful and really positive for businesses like ours. So I think it's a great opportunity to be in front of the marketplace. People are ready to spend their money. They're ready to get out there and rip. Even if you can't serve them, dude, they're already calling other companies and they can't serve them either. So get them on your wait list. Get them on, get them in your funnel.
That's a really excellent point, because they're not going anywhere. And even if you can't serve them now, you might be able to 3 months from now, 6 months from now. You want that lead.
And I would say this is what we are pushing people to do in groups, you guys, is get the first cleaning in. If you have to move a job, bump one of your recurring clients to get that first cleaning in, do it. Get the first cleaning in and explain to them that we'll get that first cleaning in, but we're going to have to put you on our wait list. If you've already done the first cleaning, they're not going anywhere forever. And your current clients that you have right now that you have to move, they can't find anybody else to clean them for what? That they also are going to get put on a wait list for somebody else. So they're very flexible right now as well. So clean up, get some money from those people, make sure that they know that you're their company. So that's really key. They just need to have the belief that this is my company, and they're going to work with you.
I think that's a strong strategy. I think another thing that I kind of learned from Tom years ago was be willing to not do a deep clean for the first clean to get them on your schedule, because sometimes a $500 cleaning is holding you back from getting them on your schedule the first time. So I allow customers to waive the deep clean and just start off with a recurring visit at their recurring price. Now we don't try and eat any money on that. Like, we just don't do as much stuff for them, right? But now I've got them on my schedule, and the thing that often holds us back is we're trying to fit in this $500 cleaning. There's just not a spot for that. But there's a spot for that $180 cleaning, So that might be something you really have to consider in these crazy times, is maybe you don't get their house perfect the first time. You just,
That's kind of a common strategy in like the contractor construction trade. If you have an opportunity to start a job, you want to get in there and start it. You might have a dozen other jobs going on at the same time. And once you've started, it's your job. And you might disappear. That contractor might disappear for a week now and go, do work somewhere else. But
that's still your contractor. It's still your company. It doesn't occur to you to go find somebody else.
Robin's mentioning, waiting lists 2 to 4 weeks. And, a lot of times that's good enough, because, that prospect is probably, at least possibly talked to, other companies and has already come to the conclusion that, there's not a lot of awesome options out there. And at least, there's the prospect of getting their home clean.
Yeah, 4 weeks sounds great. I think they're like, I have a contractor doing my basement this summer, and he was supposed to start June 1st. And he's like, I'll be 3 or 4 weeks out. I'm like, yeah, I'll see you in like 3 or 4 months the way this is going. Like, but I'm so laid back about it. Like, I probably get pushed back a little bit. And I'm kind of okay with it right now, because I'm like kind of hoping the lumber prices come down a little bit, but we'll see if that ever comes back down to earth. I may be spending more and more because he keeps pushing me back. But I'm so relaxed about it. My wife is a little stressed about it, but I'm probably the perfect customer that would be like, yeah, 4 weeks out, 6 weeks out. Sure. That sounds great. And just send me a reminder the week before, I think that's not unreasonable now. And it's such a breath of fresh air where people would hang up on you and you couldn't tell them you could do it tomorrow. I remember a few years ago, the society had gotten so fast where if you couldn't just deliver service the next day, they didn't want to do business with you. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy thinking, because it's the company that's booked is probably the better company versus the company that has labor just sitting around. Who's going to give you a better service if you could just wait for it? it's kind of actually playing in our favor a little bit right now for a moment.
Yeah. And there's another dimension of this that we would be remiss if we didn't at least touch upon it before we wrap up today, and that is the pricing side of what we're doing here. We're having to pay more in wages. Marketing more, getting more prospects in the pipeline gives you more cushion to raise your rates. And you probably, we all have recurring clients on our schedule that some of them aren't paying as much as what we would like for them or need them to match up with the wages that we're paying. Now is the time to deal with it, because you've got people on waiting lists, or you could have people on waiting lists to replace them if they think they can find a deal better somewhere else. And the fact of the matter is they can't, or if they can, it's going to be a short-lived thing, and they're not going anywhere either. In 6 months from now, they'll be looking to come back, or at least, you have the opportunity to get them back down the road at a higher rate.
I tell this to people all the time, and they're kind of stunned, but like my hourly rate that we tend to hit for cleaning is close to $70 an hour for my company. And that didn't happen overnight. Like that actually started during COVID. We were probably closer to 50 or 55, and mostly being drawn down by some commercial accounts that were like lower dollar per hour accounts. And we've pushed that up to closer to $70 an hour because my employees are very efficient and productive. And that's important too. But we did really weed out a lot. We took this time to weed out a lot of jobs that were not profitable. So this is an opportunity. When you have 10 people on your waiting list, look at your 10 worst clients that are like the least profitable. Not maybe they're not your worst clients, but they're not profitable jobs. You're barely making a profit on them. And you've got 10 people waiting in the wings that's saying that they're willing to come on your schedule. Send out a price increase notice to those 10 customers, and do the same thing when your wait list gets to 10 customers again. Maybe there's no need to even run a wait list of 20 deep, right? Like you can solve this a couple other ways.
Yeah.
Kim's saying where she's turning down move-in, moves-outs, giving preference to recurring. That makes sense. Liz Day is getting 75 to 100 an hour. Is that per technician, or is that for a team? 100 is getting up there.
Yeah, it is. So for everybody else that on Smart Business, we talk about a labor hour. So if we are talking about, Matt is talking about $70 an hour, he means one person, $70, two people, $140. So low for Liz. So that's up there, Liz. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that's
Florida. I don't know how far
we should all be pushing. Sorry.
Where do you do business, Liz?
Kissimmee, Florida, Tom.
Liz?
Can you not hear me?
No, I did. I thought
yeah. I'm sorry.
This was Kissimmee.
I got in my head.
What a coincidence. Liz is in Kissimmee too?
No, she's not.
Okay.
Yes, per employee per hour. Chasing Candy. Oh, Grass Valley. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. California.
Yeah, I just had a coaching call with a Made Central user today, and they're going into a market in Florida, and they're very worried about price and being competitive. And my advice to them was focus on your creating really great labor first, and the price will work itself out in this market. It may not be that way forever, but it's a lot easier to fix price down than it is to fix price up. If you find out that it's not getting jobs, okay, I tested it at this price. I just can't sell at this price. All right, you know what? I'm going to come down a little bit. But if you are so lucky that you're closing 100% of your jobs, you're
not charging enough.
You're not charging enough. Period. You're not.
If everybody's saying yes, you might be making some mistakes. That's always something I tell people. Like when people are like, "Oh, I close like 100% of my sales," I'm like, I worry about you. Like let's make sure that like the percent you're closing is the right percent, because there's some percentage of people that deal with you that you don't want to serve. Again, this is a marketing opportunity. If you're bringing enough people to replace, and we all have customers that that are challenging. I actually just got a Vox that I have to talk to some customer, which I never have to do. But I'm probably on the hook for this one. So, the point is, though, we had to fire these customers. And now they want to talk to me, and it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. But we have the people to replace them. This was not even a situation about price. It was just somebody we had to replace, right? But we don't have to deal with customers like that in this environment. We don't need to.
No.
And it's interesting. They want to talk to you. I mean, what's gonna? I suspect they know why you took them off the schedule.
I think they do, yeah.
So they're going to try to convince you that they're not the person that they appear to be. I know this is what this is how I've been behaving, but that's not.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it was pretty serious, like kind of a pretty serious situation, like a customer that may have inappropriately touched a customer or a client, or not an employee. So yeah, I mean, it may be to the point where we're getting law enforcement involved if that customer or that employee wants us to. So
that's a hostile work environment. That's EEOC. I mean, that's all kinds of litigation.
Yeah, I mean, I can't send an employee back there ever again. And maybe it was a misunderstanding, and it's just an age difference thing, and it doesn't matter. It's happened. It actually has happened before. So again, I'm happy to replace them and find customers that don't cross those lines. That's a pretty rare situation. I haven't had a situation like that in a decade, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah. It's been a while. And sometimes you get in those situations where it's like a couple and you're talking to the other partner, and those are particularly interesting.
Both have called. The husband and the wife have both called.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy as soon as I get off with you guys. I'm gonna enjoy that. You guys, can cross your fingers for me.
Can we just kind of hang on? We can keep the live stream going, and we can.
It might be more entertaining than I'm having. Watch me squirm for 30 minutes. Yeah,
there aren't a lot of options. They're either going to say, "Hey, it was a mistake, and that she misunderstood, and please take us back." That's one. Or they're going to say, "Listen, we know we screwed up. We'll never do it again. Please take us back." Or they're going to say, "Hey, don't turn us into the cops." Really, those are three options, right?
Well, the other option is they yell at me for 30 minutes to try and justify their behavior. That's option 4. But no option is going to be a comfortable conversation.
They yell at you.
And Chase and Candy, yeah, absolutely not. I mean, my employees are way too valuable to ever have them experience stuff like this. And I think we all feel that way about our staff. I mean, I'm very protective. I mean, we all have really staffs that are lifeblood of our business, and so yeah, I mean, it's a non-starter. If there's even the hint of impropriety of that kind of stuff, it's just not tolerated.
Well, it's a matter of just right and wrong, and being the employer that everybody trusts that you're being, and plus there's just so much legal liability there. I mean, the list of reasons goes on forever. That
yeah, not marketing related, but I got that Vox right as we're wrapping up here, so it'll be an interesting end of my day.
It is kind of marketing related though, Matt, because right now you're in. This one is
Liz,
different.
I'll let you call them back. You're so good at this stuff.
Well, this is one of the reasons why you want to be marketing, because you can easily replace them.
Yeah. And with this one especially, you don't really have a lot of options. You can't keep them on. So it's good that you have been marketing and you do have a pipeline of customers, because there's just not a lot of options here. Not on your side.
There are not. No. But back to happier topics. Everyone here, we're in unprecedented times, like Tom has said. We are getting to choose who we do business with versus the other way around, feeling like we are blessed to have the scraps left over from anything. We actually. No, I mean, I feel like some people feel like that sometimes. They feel like
that's true.
Like, I'm so lucky to deal with this awful person. And it's like, no, you actually are in such a strong position now. to pick and choose the customers that fit you and the way you do business. And, it's such an unprecedented time, because I remember starting out and not feeling like that. I'd be like, oh man, like that customer was terrible to us, but we can't afford to deal with, to not have that weekly revenue or whatever. And I don't want anyone to have to feel like that, but man, you don't have to feel like it right now. The customers are plentiful. They all have money from, average household. Do you remember the stat? Like, we're wrapping up on the call here, but average household income has grown an exponential amount. People's wealth, not income, their actual wealth.
Savings. The savings rate is through the roof.
Yeah. It's an incredible amount of money that people have right now, and they want to put it to work. They want to go on vacations. They want
typically less than 5%, but it's like at 30%. And the belief is that 25% delta is going to get spent real quick. And it's going to be on services. A lot of it's going to be travel, vacations, cruises, stuff like that. But might as well throw more money at getting my home cleaned and everything else, because
anything that can make their life easier. They're looking for more leisure time, and more leisure time is buying their time back. So things that they don't like doing, like cleaning their house, we are going to be gangbusters for a long time. We got to solve the hiring issues, but don't stop marketing. Keep bringing in good new customers.
Answer to your question, chasing candy. So there is a really good answer to this. And the really good answer to this is, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But if you are interested in being an independent contractor or blah, blah, blah. So if that's your business model, there is a way out there that they can manage their own taxes and all that kind of stuff. But for most of us, no. And don't let yourself get sucked in just because it's hard to find people right now.
Yeah.
Don't let the employees think they have it over. Don't get into the same boat with employees that you've gotten yourself into with clients in the past, where this employee is terrible. I know somebody that said they were keeping somebody that picked up $1 and put it into their apron, and it was an accident. Y'all, people that are stealing, even if they accidentally steal, it's not okay. So,
it was an accident, right? No problem.
Yeah. So don't get sucked in. Don't allow yourself to be desperate.
I guess that's the other side of it. Yeah. Don't be desperate on the staff side just because you have options on the client side. But it's a two-sided market. We always have to be filling these pipelines. Right now, it feels like it's overflowing on the staff. On the supply, or on the demand side. On the customer side. But it'll balance out. And again, get ahead of it, and do your best to have the standards that you want for your business. The people that my rule of thumb is, I don't have to have these people over to my house every night for dinner. But if I had them at a dinner party, I wouldn't be embarrassed to have them in my house. I would feel comfortable to have them over. I would feel confident if I was in a restaurant hosting a party for my company. I would not be embarrassed by anybody that works for me. That's my standard, and I feel like that's a good standard. It's not like a written policy, but I can't be embarrassed to be in public with them.
And I have one final thought here too that I want to make sure for everybody to hear. If you're waiting for everything to level out and that's kind of your strategy, stop it. Because guess what? In this industry, it's never level. It's always one or the other. So you got to get right with that. You got to get good with that idea that it's this way right now, and pretty soon it's going to be this way. So just get right with that idea.
And you need to be thinking further down the road than what's happening at this particular point in time. 6 months is going to be here before you know it, and things are going to be different. Start planning for it and preparing for it and doing the things you need to do now to take advantage of what's coming down the road. We are at the top of the hour. Awesome. God, this is only time we did this week. We're going to get soft.
One time.
But we'll be back Monday. 5 o'clock Eastern. Matt, thanks, man. As always.
Thank you.
I do say that, Robin. You're
See you
right.
Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.